My final paper, titled "The Hands-On Approach: Demonstrative Learning Among Native Alaskan Cultures," discusses the importance of both incorporating relevant learning styles into Alaska Native schools, as well as transferring traditional knowledge into Western-style education models. I chose the topic of education because after our readings, it seemed so obvious that Native students in rural Alaska may just require a different teaching style that correlates with their own cultural history and lifestyle. With an identity so closely tied to the land and the skills needed to survive, I wanted to highlight the importance of weaving in culturally relevant teaching styles that would benefit and suit the lives and traditions of Alaska Native people. In this case, particularly the Yupik people. As I will reveal in my presentation, I have found that many of the sources on Native Alaskan education draw from two main methods of learning by Alaska Native people. The first is the notion of demonstrative learning, or learning by doing. The second is the knowledge that one can gain by observing everything that an elder has absorbed in terms of wisdom and experience through storytelling. Both of these styles are uncommon in the westernized classroom setting, but may increase productivity and success for the students. I chose to zoom in the lens on Yupik population because that is where I have done most of my observing and interacting over the last 3 years in Alaska. When it comes to the teaching and wisdom of elders, I can attest to their great understanding of the land on which they have lived and thrived for centuries. In the classroom, I have traveled to many rural villages and schools across the Kuskokwim Delta, and I can also attest to the fact that for me, I definitely get more participation and enthusiasm when my sometimes considered boring topic of diabetes is discussed using props and visuals and physical movement. As an outsider who has come to provide knowledge to Alaska Native students, I also wanted to do my part in planning for my audience by looking for and attending conferences that provide culturally relevant strategies and teaching tools. The resources I chose for this discussion were those either providing a unique insight into Alaska Native cultural learning styles or supported education models that would benefit Indigenous students as well as any other population. While pulling information from articles by Purity, Barnhart and Quagley, Lipka and Fina Bruden, I also looked to the movie clip of the Inupiat family from 1949 as they lived day to day, and as well as a personal interview with one of my elders to call upon her childhood years and the way she was taught and everything she remembered from her grandparents and parents. The Eskimo family shown in this clip provided a great glimpse into the priorities, values, and rules of Alaska Native cultures. It showed how the children watch their parents carry out a skill, be it hunting or sewing, and soon after they are expected to do the actions themselves in order to contribute to the survival of the family and ensure they could do it themselves in case of dire situations. In Purity's reading, he describes the best learning styles for different cultures. He explains that assuming all children learn the same is harmful to those minority groups who learn better with holistic approaches that involve demonstration and cooperation as opposed to lecture-based classes that promote competition and impersonal work more commonly found in Western styles. Purity encouraged cultural relevance into the universal education paradigms and explained how it would be beneficial for Alaska Native students to have teachers that not only become more relatable, but also offered subjects in a culturally relevant manner. I was excited to see these steps being made in one of the school districts I visited on the Kuskokwim River. The teachers were given a couple of weeks orientation on Yupik culture, where they were given social and cultural norms and introduced to many Yupik traditions. In their orientation, they were taught about subsistence, language, and other associated areas. Barnhart and Quagley also followed this idea of culturally infused education models. They described the importance not only on an educational level, but in order to preserve Alaska Native cultural identity. They explained how cooperation between Native traditional knowledge and Western education can result in many positives for both groups. They also encourage incorporating subsistence and other traditions into lesson plans in order to make understanding harder abstract subjects more relatable, such as the math that goes into building a drying rack. Their diagram shows both the specific learning styles and approaches of Native populations and Western populations, and then goes on to show what an ideal blending would look like and mean for a better education model that incorporates both sides of each circle into one unique and well-rounded perspective. Litka goes on to provide a glimpse of the benefits of offering Alaska Native students a culturally relevant education by an Alaska Native teacher. The study follows Cap, who reveals the way he teaches in a method different from the Western idea of classroom etiquette would be. While making beaver blankets, Cap gives students room to make their own decisions and problem solving, and also gives them the respect of getting down to their level by going on the floor with them to demonstrate and show them what to do. And he's showing them respect as he demonstrates what to do and lets them work on their own. This method reflects the need for survival by making sure the children can do it themselves. Phoenix Reardon then moves on to the benefits of elder knowledge and the importance of keeping the tradition alive. At a cultural camp in Uncanute, elders show young people the skills and knowledge their parents and grandparents showed them, and also shares wisdom through storytelling as well. Every night they would gather in a circle so elders could share their views and their advice on everyday activities and on their culture. The elders offer advice on family values, culture, and everyday problems children and adults face, using metaphors to help the children understand what they're saying. They also encourage the children to heed their advice because as children don't look to elders as much these days, there are more and more traditional knowledge is being lost with this generation. My experience with elders is exactly as Fina Rudin described. They look to the youth as children who must know about the world and must listen to their stories and experiences to make them more educated and more prepared for the hardships in their lives. My elders were a plethora of knowledge, and it is my belief that young people can learn so much from the years of experience. I learned everything from how to predict the weather to how to prepare food to how to tell what certain signs of illnesses were based on their experiences. Um, I also interviewed an elder named Nellie Wassley. She is one of our elders that come to the senior center, and she described the way she learned best by watching her grandparents, specifically her grandmother, carry out daily activities and begin practicing those skills based on her instruction and demonstration. She explains how her grandma stored sealed blubber and gathered bird eggs. She said that she remembers her grandmother making sure Nellie left some eggs for the mother bird in order to show their respect and gratitude. Langdon's quote about respecting all things supported this idea Nellie's grandmother taught her and shows the importance of passing along cultural values that make up Alaska Native identity. The idea of cross-cultural education is not only important for educational excellence, but also for the sake of those who are sharing and therefore passing along and preserving their own cultural values and traditions. Thank you.